Good morning. Today my debate is on how No Child Left Behind and Common Core failed America. And more specifically, today I'm focusing on No Child Left Behind, how it came to be and why it failed tragically. To begin, I'd like to very quickly talk about how No Child Left Behind came to be. While in office, President Ronald Reagan recognized many flaws within the American education system and saw we are not competing on a global scale in terms of how good our national education was. Because of this, he called together the National Commission on Education Excellence. Within this commission, many topics were discussed, such as assessing the quality of teaching and learning in our nation's public and private schools, colleges, and universities, comparing American schools and colleges with those of other advanced nations, studying the relationship between college admissions requirements and student achievement in high school, identifying educational programs which result in notable student success in college, and defining problems which must be faced and overcome if we are successfully to pursue the course of excellence in education. Much research went into these topics, and the findings of these studies were shocking. And I think this quote that came from the end of the meeting sums it up perfectly. And it says that America was in urgent need for improvement, both immediate and long-term. But while the findings from this council were shocking, they only put out recommendations to states on how to change. This is most likely due to the fact that President Reagan strongly opposed a large federal role in education. All of this was building up to the presidency of George W. Bush, who, within his first week in office, had signed the No Child Left Behind Act. What is this act, you may ask? Well, No Child Left Behind's goal was to close the achievement gap between minority and non-minority students, between the disadvantaged and the advantaged, between those living in poverty and those who are wealthy. But as we can see, this did not happen. President Bush, when signing this act, declared that this was the cornerstone of his administration. The basis of this program had a four-pillar system, where each pillar represented the four main concepts of this act. The pillars are stronger accountability for results, more freedom for states and communities, proven education methods, and more choices for parents. The goals and program seemed like a brilliant idea, an idea where truly no child would be left behind, and opportunities for upcoming youth would be seemingly endless. Yet, it seemed as the exact opposite had happened. Within my research, I found three main reasons why No Child Left Behind failed. The first of which is that this act narrowed the curriculum which was taught within schools. The second is that it imposed one-size-fits-all measures on students, which discredits children who learn in different ways and with different speeds. The third and final reason is that because of this act and others like it, schools, in order to not be named a failure, ended up lowering their standards in a so-called race to the bottom, as President Obama put it. My first point on why No Child Left Behind failed is that it narrowed the curriculum of schools. The National Education Association put out an article in 2014 addressing this subject, titled The Testing Obsession and the Disappearing Curriculum. Within this article, they quoted a 2011 nationwide survey, in which they surveyed teachers at all grade levels across the nation. The results were shocking, and came back to where half of all teachers surveyed said art and music were being marginalized, while 40% said the same for foreign languages, 36% for social studies, and 27% for science. What did teachers say the overall cause for this was? An overwhelming 90% said that it was due to the focused standards on statewide testing on math and reading. It seems that because we as a nation put such high standards on math and reading, that everything else took a backseat. The second reason why it failed is that it imposed a one-size-fits-all mentality with the students. We see within the bill a mindset change in schools everywhere. They focus more on end-of-the-year testing rather than true learning. I myself remember going through years of schooling, and one of the biggest memories for me in school was always having teachers talking about the end of the year test, and it seemed like all of our worksheets were to prepare us for the test. I remember countless lessons on how to take multiple choice tests the best way, and now that I have completed the system and I've graduated, what can I say I've truly taken away from all of this? And honestly, not much. This leads to my final point, that schools lowered standards to make adequate yearly progress. Adequate AYP, or adequate yearly progress, measures how much the students are improving each year. This caused enormous strains on schools, because if they did not make AYP once every 5 years, they would be dissolved, or have the leadership and teaching staff completely redone. Because of these reasons, and in conclusion, I believe it is safe to say that this program has catastrophically failed the youth of America. Thank you.